Welcome to the driver's seat. We are in San Clemente, California, outside of one of many Tesla's charging stations to talk about, of course, the Jaguar I-Pace. So this is Jaguar's all-electric vehicle, and I got to tell you, it's been turning a lot of heads here. So there are about 20 Tesla owners, but they've stopped by, they've talked to us, they've checked out the I-Pace. So from a styling standpoint, the I-Pace is a home run. With the 22-inch wheels, we are driving the first edition. So this is the top of the line. You have an S, SE, then HSE. The S starts at around $69,000. HSE is around 82. This is basically an HSE Plus, and fully loaded $91,000, so it's not cheap. Range is 240, 0 to 60, 4.5 seconds, top speed 124, and you can get 80% charge in about 40 minutes. But if you don't have that fast charge, that's a fast charger. Level 2 charger, yesterday had to go look for one and found a charge point station at a VW dealership. It took 6 hours to only get 100 miles of range. And that was pretty painful. Size-wise, it's bigger than a Model 3, but smaller than a Model S. It is a 5-door hatchback, and it has seating for 5. Let me show you some of the things we like and didn't like about it. So, mention the styling, and really like the styling. Now, you get these short overhangs, which some people like, some people don't. I think it makes it look good. 22-inch wheels on the first edition that we're driving. Now, let's look over here. The button to open the liftgate is located right next to the camera. The problem with that is whether we did it or the previous journalist that reviewed it did it, they somehow pushed this in looking for this button. And as a result, now we pretty much have no backup camera. It's not broken, it's just been pushed in. Very poor design. I think they should have moved the camera up. I realize for aesthetics, they put it here, but not ideal. Plenty of cargo room. Take a look in here. You have a split second row, kind of a 60-40 split. Definitely came in handy. Again, lots of cargo room, and this thing is really a blast to drive. And 0 to 60, 4.5 seconds, and when you put it into the sport mode. So really like what they've done here. The other challenge I think Jaguar's going to have is the charging stations. You know, Tesla's a community. They've sold over 200,000 Teslas. I was just talking to a gentleman who's driven 3 times back and forth from Chicago in his Model S, and he knows exactly where the next charging station is. He said in the 3 years he's owned his Model S, he's only had to wait 1 time for a charger, and that was a total of 20 minutes. Think about that. I've had this thing for a week, and I've had to wait several times for a charger. A couple times I just left, just got too frustrated. So a lot of work to do if you are not Tesla. Audi, I think, has the financial means and the infrastructure to make it happen. They have a lot of VW dealerships and Audi dealerships, a lot more than there are Jaguar dealerships. So I think they might have a better chance of I think taking a bite out of the Tesla pie. But for right now, it is another alternative. So let's get behind the wheel and see what the I-Pace is all about. So we're in the I-Pace first edition, starting price with destination and handling around $88,000, as tested $91,000. It's a lot of money to spend on an electric vehicle, but we'll try to give you a little overview after spending a week with it. The interior is very luxurious, very sporty, a lot of carbon fiber, Alcantara. You would think you're driving a 911 for a minute. And 0 to 60 times are not that much slower than a 911. 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. So you have that. Top speed though is only 124, so you're not going to You're not going to break any speed records, but 0 to 60 is very respectable for a luxury compact crossover. It's probably the best way I can describe this vehicle. Size-wise, it's probably closer to a Model 3. It's a little bit smaller than the Audi e-tron. We'll talk more about the e-tron. Let's focus on this vehicle for now. So you have a full high-definition digital display. And Jaguar Land Rover have been doing this for years now, so this is nothing new. And as expected, just about every electric car, this is how the gauges, instrument cluster is gonna be. You have large navigation, infotainment screen, about 10 inches, nice center stack, more digital display. So very visceral, very exciting to look at. From a styling perspective, I happen to like the styling of the I-Pace. I think it has a polarizing style. Some people like it, some people don't. Very short overhangs, front and rear. Again, I like the look, but some people think it looks maybe a little bit incomplete, or maybe doesn't quite look like a $90,000 crossover. Now, to be fair, starting price on the base model, so there's the S, SE, HSE, and the one we're driving, which is kind of an HSE Plus, known as the first edition. And the S starts just under $70,000. Of course, you're going to get the federal tax credit, $7,500, and depending on the state you live in, you'll get a refund check from the state. So California, for example, you're looking at about $7,500 tax credit, $2,500 rebate check. So it could potentially, depending on your tax situation, have a net impact of saving you $10,000. So that's pretty much all the electric vehicles. Now, Tesla's already maxed out, so you're not going to get that with Tesla, but they're offsetting that in other ways. You have different driving modes. You have Eco, which would be a very aggressive regen, comfort, dynamic, and if you hold it, it turns red. This is the most powerful mode. This is where you're going to get your 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. So as you can see, a lot of instant torque. That's what electric vehicles are all about. I like the steering wheel, the steering controls. It's very sporty. One has to wonder when they're going to do or if they'll do an I-Pace R, because that's kind of Jaguar's thing, is to have racing editions of their vehicles. I like the 5-passenger hatchback configuration. That's come in very handy. We've folded the seats down to get some equipment in here. So very, very useful space. The range is about 235, 240 miles, depending on who you believe. With the fast charger, you could get 80% charge in 40 minutes. By comparison, the new Audi e-tron will get you 80% charge in 20 minutes. So it's a big difference. Think of that fast charge as kind of you're filling up on your way on a long trip. So the first assumption is that there's a charging station that's vacant, that's available. Just because you know there's a charging station doesn't mean it's available. So you're assuming you're going to show up and no one's there. And when I say available, somebody could be parked there but not charged. It'll show available, but it may not. You may not be able to charge. So that's number one. And then it's how long? I mean, do you really want 40 minutes to fill up? Again, where the e-tron will give you 20 minutes to do an 80% charge. Those are good numbers. That's very solid. I like the way it drives, but I'm also a fan of the way most of these vehicles drive. These electric vehicles have a nice low center of gravity. Now, what Jaguar has done is they have two motors, one in the front, one in the rear. You have about a near 50-50 weight distribution, and because you have the two motors, you're able to have all-wheel drive. So depending on what the situation is, you can change the torque back and forth from front to rear. We're down to 57 miles of range, so I'm going to go into eco mode to try and conserve a little bit. The other day I met a colleague at Kelley Blue Book, and literally half a dozen employees came out to check out the I-Pace. So it still has a lot of draw, a lot of polarizing attention, and that's great for the brand. That's great for electric vehicles. I think once the, I'll keep going back to the e-tron, but I think once the e-tron arrives, they're going to just really kill it. Tesla made it popular and acceptable to be a luxury car buyer and an EV buyer. Until then, it was really meant for hippies, tree huggers, people that want to go green, and it was all about these small, unattractive vehicles. All of a sudden, Tesla comes along, and now you have a luxury brand wrapped around an electric vehicle with great range and independence from gas stations. So now all the luxury brands have been scrambling to get in on that. And the I-Pace is a great step. What they're missing compared to Tesla is the infrastructure, and what they're missing compared to Audi e-tron, I think, is some of the interior sex appeal, as well as the faster charger. Audi has a very sophisticated cooling technology for their batteries, which enables for better range as well as faster charging. If I were to recommend one of these, I would say opt for the lower and the S or the SE. And the reason is that I just think the technology is moving so fast that it may not be that long before these numbers are obsolete, and you don't want to be stuck with that. But then again, most people are going to lease these, so it may not be an issue. One of my biggest pet peeves with electric vehicles is the availability of charging stations. So we're on the ChargePoint app, and it says available. Let's see if it truly is available. Well, good news, we've arrived at the VW dealership, and the ChargePoint station is indeed available, so that's good. Let's see how much of a charge we can get so we can make it